Hello again, everyone, and welcome to TV31, our third week with the lead pastor, Jim Johnson at Sunnybrook Christian Church. We're in a kind of a makeshift studio. You know, churches now have podcasts. They have sermons that they put online, certainly on their Facebook pages, and we're kind of in that studio right here at Sunnybrook. We're talking to Jim Johnson. We've talked to Jim about sermons. We've talked to him about family. We've talked about a lot of things. We want to talk this week a little bit more about the boys and about growing up in Stillwater, some of the trials that existed there. I want to talk to him a little bit about whether he would ever leave Sunnybrook. What would it take? Would he retire in Stillwater? Those are the sorts of things we get to. But this week, let's start with an interesting fact about Jim Johnson. He's a huge UFC fan. One of the things that that is different about you are a UFC fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can tell me as much about UFC as I can tell you about cowgirl basketball. True. True.
No, I don't.
True.
Dude, you are one of the most amazing cowgirl basketball people. Like, I couldn't tell you everyone who's ever played, the number, the city they're from.
I couldn't either.
Their mother's maiden name. Like, I couldn't do that.
You know the rankings. You know when the fights are coming up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know their style. You know their style of play.
Listen, I'm
you
not
have
saying I
been
don't know
to
a lot.
Vegas
I'm saying
to
you know
watch
everything.
them in person.
Yes. Have you ever traveled to a cowgirls basketball game?
Yeah, I get paid to do that.
No, but have you ever traveled? I went to one.
You
I will go to more.
How on earth did that happen?
My kids, my boys actually, when it started becoming really popular. Well, actually, my boys when they were little started taking classes in it.
Really?
Yes.
So, you know there was such a thing.
Yeah. So my three boys, we were in Joplin. It was about the last year to 2 years, and they were little, so they would have been like kindergarten, grade 2 or 3, and grade 4 and 5ish.
Uh-huh.
And they started learning UFC stuff.
Wow.
And so Andrew and I would spend, like, so you know how you guys always skip church to go to stuff for your kids? We didn't actually do that, but we would on nights that didn't conflict with church things.
Sure. Yeah,
we would actually spend with our children and do
fighting,
UFC
watching
stuff.
them fight each other,
fighting other children,
putting other kids in headlocks and making them tap out and things like that. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
So, and your love for that just continued to develop.
Yeah, and then when we moved here, my boys, really fell in love with it, and it started getting really popular.
Right, sure.
And so, yeah.
Of course, you're in a wrestling community too.
Oh, no, honestly, it's really exciting to tell people just all the connections between Stillwater and UFC.
You were a Miami Hurricane fan. I mean, and I could really you get really defensive when anybody starts to blow up your Hurricanes a little bit.
No, it's not blowing up the Hurricanes. It's I don't like the inconsistency of, the place that I love and the college that I really care about have never had any students do anything wrong ever. We've never done anything wrong, but the Miami Hurricanes have had a history in the past where they had players that did bad things.
Yeah, he's not
But all of the other universities have never had anybody do anything bad. That kind of when you talk like that to me, I just feel like you don't know what you're talking about.
You think I talk to you that way? Did I say that? I say that to you?
Yes.
No, I don't think
Remember when I gave you the list of all of the universities?
Yeah, but that had nothing.
You did the Thug You thing, and then I gave you the list of all the universities. No, but do you remember this?
I do remember this, but I don't think I called
on the list, and Miami was not even on the top 20 list.
I don't think I called them Thug You, but I think that's how you remember it because that's just the way you have selective memory. Did you play? Did you play any sports? Did you play hockey?
Yeah, I played hockey. Now, what happens in Canada, right, is that once you get to be like 12,
right,
they know who's going to the NHL or not.
Right.
Maybe 14, 15 actually. And so because we moved around a lot, and my parents did not quite have the same obsession, and I did not have those skills.
Right.
And so you learn pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So there was 3, 4 that I can think of from my high school. So one of the guys that I played in high school, he is now the director of player development, I think, for the Carolina Hurricanes. Won the Stanley Cup in 2006 and was the number 3 draft choice the year we graduated from high school. And then a guy that lived across the street from me was the Conn Smythe. Do you know what this is? The Conn Smythe Trophy winner in 1989?
Do not.
MVP for the Stanley Cup Finals.
Okay, very good.
So that's a big deal.
Good, yeah.
And so
yeah.
he won that trophy. So there was probably, just the time that I was in high school, about 4 or 5 guys that played in the NHL. So
You are such a hockey fan, and I'll edit this out if this is not airable. But so someone gives you
yep.
a Matt Holliday bat, autographed Matt Holliday bat, right? Autographed by Matt Holliday. I
Yep.
mean,
No, not autographed by Matt Holliday.
What it was initially was his, right?
It was his. It's his bat. Like it's like
It's
I'm
actually from a
assuming-
game. He
I'm
used
assuming
it.
it's his bat.
Okay.
Right, because it's like engraved, like with his name.
And of
engraved.
course, played for the Cardinals, and the Rockies were drafted by the Rockies. Went back and played for New York. This is a big guy around here, and you say
Huge.
this is only a good thing.
Huge.
This is only worth something if it's signed by the great one.
Well, he had already. Now, here's what. Here's what it was. I was teasing him about how, everybody's impressed, and I was teasing him about how really Wayne Gretzky is the one we should always be impressed with. And I just, and I am. I'm a huge fan of Wayne Gretzky. And
Is he a believer, by the way?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
I don't think so.
I wondered.
Him and my grandma, very upsetting. Neither of them are believers.
Grandma either?
No, I told
On
you my
either
mom-
side?
No.
Wow.
So anyway, I kind of made this comment. Next thing I know, Matt says to me, "Hey, I'm sending you something," and he actually sent me an autographed. It's his bat, which is kind of cool, and then it's got Wayne Gretzky's to Jim Johnson.
Wow.
And that is really cool.
Now that's a cool
yeah.
thing.
I should have brought it.
Is it on? You still kept it? I thought you sold it on eBay.
It's a joke. I always say. You'll never guess how much I got for it on eBay.
Let's take our first time out here as we continue our conversation with Jim Johnson, the pastor at Sunnybrook Christian Church. More with him coming up right after this.
If you haven't been to TS Fork at White Barn Estates lately, we have an exciting new concept to tell you about. It's called Thirsty Thursdays, and it includes 4 courses of the same high-quality food as our other nights and some of the best mixed drinks you've ever had. Best of all, no reservations are required. And while you're there, enjoy a drink on the covered patio and check out the gift shop with Made in Oklahoma products. Visit tsfork.com for more details and to check out our upcoming special menus.
Neighbors, friends, the people we see every day. We come to you today with no news or announcement, but to let you know what's on our hearts. Because quite simply, we feel honored. You're the reason that what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow. But you're also the reason we believe in the power of sharing the same neighborhoods and a loyalty that's bigger than any challenge. So this is simply thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to move forward and grow, but never lose sight of the roots that connect us. As we step boldly into a time of change and innovation, consider this our promise that every investment in our hospital is an investment in our communities. Because you're the reason we love what we do and love where we live.
The McCafe is now featuring cold brew coffee and cold brew frappes. Face the day with a cold brew coffee from the McCafe with a rich cold brew coffee blended with ice for a creamy frozen drink that's colder than cold brew. Or refresh with a cold creamy frappe. We start with a cold brew coffee, blended ice, and topped with whipped cream and rich chocolate drizzle for a great anytime frozen treat. McDonald's in Stillwater, Perkins, Perry, and Cushing. I'm loving it. Kent and Barbara Houck have been saying they're a one-stop shop for many years. In 1951, the Houck Agency began insuring Oklahomans and since has expanded to insure people in 11 states across the country. The Houck Agency can find the policy that fits your needs from business health coverage, individual health, home, auto, and long-term health care policies. They have a staff that can take care of financial planning, including retirement and investing. And Barbara Houck has been a realtor for over 35 years, and her contacts helped her buy and sell homes and commercial properties across the state. One-stop shop, the Houck Agency, 801 South Main in Stillwater. Call statewide toll-free at 800-543-8588. The Houck Agency, when experience counts.
Welcome back to TV 3101, continuing our conversation with Jim Johnson, the lead pastor at Sunnybrook Christian Church. We talked to him about developing sermons. We talked to him about some of his favorite scriptures, but We got a chance to talk to Jim a little bit about a sermon that maybe he remembers, some that maybe got him emotional, but maybe one that was just stood out more than the rest. Favorite sermon? You ever had a sermon that you
Like
went
I preached?
that you preached that
Yeah, I think I do.
well, I'm curious, what is
Yeah.
it?
The one I preached when I first, in the August that I was here, was one that I had preached one time before, and it was on how much I love the church and God's people. And I preached it because Sunnybrook was going through a real difficult time. And I remember preaching it 3 times that morning. It was a pretty important sermon, and basically talking about my love for Jesus and my love for his people. And I hear so many people have negative thoughts and attitudes about the church, and I have no problem, as you know, being honest about the church's failures. So it's not like I want to put my head in the sand. But I heard somebody say years ago that the church is the bride of Christ, right, which we find in the Bible. So be careful how you talk about another man's wife. And I think that's true. So we can speak honestly about her, but remember how much Jesus loves her. So that sermon that I preached there was probably my favorite one that I've ever preached.
Is there reactions? You know, because to some degree, being a pastor and preaching, you're not performing, but to some degree you are.
Yep.
Is there a topic that usually gets the reaction that you go, okay, that one, I just feel like that one really hit home with it may have been the first one you just mentioned, but is there a topic or a sermon that you've given where you go, no, that one really resonated, that one really sunk in?
The ones that I preach where I'm talking about like leaving a legacy or kind of passing on our faith, I usually know I'm going to get a particular response. And so those are the ones that people really, really like. I mean, because you're hitting on the sentimentality of you passing on your faith to your children. So you're touching on something that matters a lot. And so I can usually tell, oh yeah, that one's going to get a real favorable response.
You are not one that'll shy away from any topic. Doesn't matter whether it's money, whether it's
So you remember Jesus like wouldn't shy away, and so they nailed him to a cross.
Yeah,
so I feel kind of bad if I just shy away.
So there is nothing that you won't that you don't talk about. And so, but what is the most difficult? What's the most difficult, and why is it difficult?
I think anything today around sexual orientation or gender type issues are just so loaded that I don't mind talking about it. And if you could say, hey, Jim's going to be speaking for 5 hours on this. So I don't mind you or people disagreeing with me, and I don't even mind trying to listen to them in terms of like how I can have a better biblical understanding, or you and I coming to an agreement that we just don't agree on these issues in terms of that. But those are such charged issues that people, for personal reasons or even just I'm personally offended, not because it has anything to do with me, but I'm worried about what other people are thinking. It's so charged that for me to kind of walk in and in 30 minutes, 35 minutes, to be able to deal with a topic like that, get in and get out, think that I've covered everything is just so difficult, is so complicated. So I had somebody ask me that question one time. They asked me what our view at the church was about sexual orientation. And I said, here's the problem: is that if I say you are welcome, you're going to misunderstand what I mean, and if I say you're not welcome, you're going to misunderstand what I mean. And so because everyone is welcome in the church, right? Everyone is welcome, but in terms of how we understand how we live our lives, like all of us, like every one of us, like I am totally welcome by Jesus, but I'm welcome on His terms, and not my, not my own. And so that's the part that anything that seems to move in that at a level that's really personal. And right now, anything on the gender issue or anything about orientation issues are just so charged that I almost want to say, I will not speak about them unless I'm going to be doing them for 5 hours, so that at least I can get everything kind of rounded out, so that you know why you disagree with me, or why you even hate me, or why you're whatever. But I've at least kind of gotten to the bottom of this, where I've shown the complexity of the issue, the way the Bible describes it.
One of your mentors, a man, and I don't even recall his name, but he came and spoke once at Sunnybrook. When he preached, he was on the verge of tears a lot. Fair?
Yeah.
I assume they were, some people have techniques within their sermons. You and I have a friend that I used to give a hard time to. I love him to death, and I think he's a great theological mind. But he had a couple of things within his structure that it just really, I just kind of went, I don't even think it's a crutch. I think you're doing it on purpose. Come to find out, it was whatever. So, but you don't do that much. I don't think you come to tears very close in a sermon, right? I mean. Sometimes
I have,
but
it's rare.
so I'm curious. What is a sermon that or a topic, or why would you? What was one that made you go just literally just break down? And how do you not? Because you are an emotional guy.
I am an emotional guy. If I get caught, it's when I get caught. It's like, when I'll be writing a message or I'll be writing a lesson, and then I'll be absolutely fine. I mean, I'll tell you one example. So I was teaching one time. In Missouri at a retreat, and I was going through the book of Philippians, and I'm just teaching from chapter 4, and I got on my notes, I'm teaching, I mean, this is kind of like so low-key, and I come across this idea where Paul is thanking the Philippians for the work for Thessalonians, and I'm teaching, and at that moment I realized that this book that I fell in love with, 1 Thessalonians and 2 Thessalonians, what existed because the church in Philippi cared to send Paul money so he could go there. And if these people hadn't done this, then I would have never had, and I just lost it. I am sitting there in that moment, grateful for people I don't even know who they are. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, there were people that gave so that Paul could, and then I have this letter, and it has changed my life. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just start bawling. And I'm like, where is that coming from? And so I've had a few of those when I broke down one time over an individual that was like a scholar. And I just became overwhelmed with the fact of what people have sacrificed so that you and I can just have the Bible that we have. Like I teach on how the Bible came to be. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And so a guy named Bruce Metzger, and I just started talking about him, I've never met him, was this amazing guy that helped us understand how the Bible came to be, and I just lost it for Bruce Metzger. So those are the things. I get sentimental in that sense, and I'm just really grateful for what others have done or what God has done, and it just hits me.
The Hideaway since 1957. The Hideaway is famous for a lot of things, including their off-the-charts fried mushrooms, incredible service, unbeatable lunch specials, and, of course, the one-of-a-kind pizza. Stillwater's pizza tradition begins and ends here, from the big country to the pizza of the gods. And even the sizes are famous, from the mini personal to the big kahuna. Like us on Facebook for unique offers, lunch or dinner, dine-in, pickup, or delivery. The Hideaway, 230 South Mount Block, or call 372-4777. More than a restaurant, it's a tradition.
Whether you're looking for a small concert venue like the Bob Childers Gypsy Cafe or
a big stage at the Tumbleweeds Calf Fry Festival, America's friendliest college town is going to be rocking this May.
where the flowers are waving,
And the music will get you swaying.
enjoy a concert in the garden.
Right here at the Botanic Garden at OSU.
We can't wait to welcome over 5,000 Olympic athletes competing in 9 events and swinging
for the gold.
Support local farmers, learn about seasonal produce, and discover new fruits and veggies at the Stillwater Farmers Market located at the Prairie Arts Center. Check out the real professionals at the Aggie Cattle Dog Show at the Payne County Expo Center.
How can you celebrate National Tourism Week? Pick one of the 3 round-trip flights through Stillwater Regional Airport at flystillwaterok.com. Don't miss a beat in America's friendliest college town. Check out our full listing of events at visitstillwater.org.
Kent and Barbara Houck have been saying they're a one-stop shop for many years. In 1951, the Houck Agency began insuring Oklahomans and since has expanded to insure people in 11 states across the country. The Houck Agency can find the policy that fits your needs, from business health coverage, individual health, home, auto, and long-term health care policies. They have a staff that can take care of financial planning, including retirement and investing. And Barbara Houck has been a realtor for over 35 years, and her contacts helped her buy and sell homes and commercial properties across the state. One-stop shop, the Houck Agency, 801 South Main in Stillwater. Call statewide toll-free at 800-543-8588. The Houck Agency, when experience counts.
Welcome back once again to TV31 on 1, talking to Jim Johnson. And we are in the studio room where a lot of the podcast and a lot of the things social media-wise is produced right here at Sunnybrook. And a lot of that's available. There's going to be some videos eventually from Jim's time in Israel. The church is producing a ton of those, and those are going to be available. And we talked a little bit about that, but we also had a chance to talk about a lot of other things. Once again, here's Jim Johnson. So before we let you get out of here, eventually want to do a conversation on your trips to Israel, because I know you have gone over there. You not only have gone over now, you've kind of been on the tour. Then I think you could give the tour now. You've been over there enough times. There are video series that you guys are producing out of that. But I'm just curious, for you personally, the first time you went, was you can read and you know these places exist. You know geographically, you are, as a professor and as a teacher and as a pastor, you know these geographically areas in your mind. You can read on the map and know where they are. When you saw them in person, though, for the first time, what was that like?
I tell people, it's like when all of a sudden you remove the frame. It's kind of like your first time. I remember my first time at Yankee Stadium. I remember my first time in the Sky Dome when I was a Blue Jays fan. I remember my first time even in Gallagher-Iba or Boone Pickens Stadium. Like it's literally, it's that. Now hear me, there's obviously a spiritual dimension, but in terms of like, what is the difference between watching a football game and then going to Boone Pickens Stadium? What's the difference? And that is how drastic it actually is. Because so much when we talk about the Bible or the life of Jesus, we fail to recognize what I now call real time. Like, what was it like in real time? So to be able to look at the Temple Mount and to say, and Jesus was on the Mount of Olives, and then he walks down through the Kidron Valley and he goes to Caiaphas' house. Like, I know what that looks like spatially. And if you've never really been there and you can't really see it, you don't get the topography, you don't get, like, when the Bible says, and then they walked here to there, like, how much conversation probably went on that wasn't even recorded.
Sure.
So it brings, people talk about it being like two-dimensional to three-dimensional, or black and white to color, or all of a sudden it's in stereo, or however you want to describe it, Dolby. It comes to a whole new level of life, so to speak. And then there's just you literally, the first time you're there, particularly in Jerusalem, the first time you're there, or the first time I was ever on the Sea of Galilee, you're just kind of walking around going, okay, Jesus walked here. Like, this is crazy. Or Abraham, there's this really amazing place, and the stones are from the time of Abraham. And they've recently, you're not allowed to walk on them anymore, but you're there, and these were the steps when Abraham went up to a city called Laish. It ended up calling Dan. But this would have been the entry to the city, and we know that. Yeah. That's kind of creepy. Yeah. No, not creepy. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, like it's overwhelming.
Sure. Anything truly overwhelm you? One spot where you went, wow, I can't even wrap my mind around this particular place.
Anything around the temple and the Temple Mount, the front steps are probably some of my greatest and most difficult moments, kind of just reflecting on those.
How many times have you been over?
4.
4. Going back again soon?
You coming?
Tell me about Uri.
So Uri is our buddy. He is our guide. He is a really good friend of mine. Jewish, grew up Jewish, remains Jewish, and remains not Christian. And so he was here recently. He's a phenomenal guide and a great teacher. And we brought him over to teach our people about the Bible and about those things. And honestly, we brought him over so I could spend more time sharing with him who Jesus is.
Well, and
so he's a good friend.
Had a great, and you were careful not to really call it a debate. It was a conversation in front of the congregation about his beliefs and how he had come to where he is, and where maybe he has a stomach block of getting to where Jesus would be, his Lord and Savior. And so he kind of backs off at a certain point. It was highly, highly intriguing to me. I loved it.
I love the fact that he believes in Jesus. He believes, who Jesus is, in terms of that he lived and that he did these things, but denies any kind of divine in Jesus, right? So great teacher, Jesus the man, and cannot believe that Jesus is in fact divine. And so it's really I want our people to see that this is a common thing. Even people in Stillwater don't believe he's divine.
So so the video series, what's happening there?
We're done the first 4, and so we're doing about 30 or so of our own videos, and we've got 4 of those completed, and we're in the process of also doing a number of those for him. And so there's about 37 that we're producing for him, for his tour business that he has.
Available to see now?
The first 4 are.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Footage already shot, or is that coming
All
in future
shot.
trips? The
All
whole
shot.
thing is
The
shot?
whole-
Wow.
We had, I forget what it was, 1,800 clips.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it
Fantastic.
was a lot of work.
And people can see those videos where?
I don't know the exact spot yet.
Okay.
So-
All right. So they haven't been released yet?
Only the first 4.
Oh,
so we
they
did
have?
it for the Easter series.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you were to go to our Facebook page,
Okay.
the Sunnybrook Facebook page would be the one place that you could see at least the first 4.
What's the biggest challenge facing the church today?
It has been for a long time, and it will continue to be. And when I say that, I mean like the mid 1800s in America is whether or not the Bible could be understood and believed as authoritative and true. And every issue stems off of that. So however you look at the Bible and how it speaks to your life, is it a list, not just the 10 Commandments, but are the teachings of Jesus more suggestive, or are they to be taken? And it's not even a question of like literal or figurative, because the Bible's both. But it is how authoritative are the teachings of Jesus into our lives. And that answers every question in terms of how I treat my neighbor and how I view my own identity and how I view ethics. All of those things are based upon the authority of the Bible. So I would tell you every other issue, every church denomination has divided over that issue. And so you have liberal and conservative churches, and they all split on is the Bible the Word of God, or is the Bible an inspired word about God? And I'm on this side.
Whether you're looking for a small concert venue like the Bob Childers Gypsy Cafe or
A big stage at the Tumbleweeds Calf Fry Festival. America's friendliest college town is going to be rocking this May.
where the flowers are waving,
And the music will get you swaying.
enjoy a concert in the garden.
Right here at the Botanic Garden at OSU.
We can't wait to welcome over 5,000 Olympic athletes competing in 9 events and swinging
For the gold!
Support local farmers, learn about seasonal produce, and discover new fruits and veggies at the Stillwater Farmers Market located at the Prairie Arts Center. Check out the real professionals at the Aggie Cattle Dog Show at the Payne County Expo Center.
How can you celebrate National Tourism Week? Pick one of the 3 round-trip flights through Stillwater Regional Airport at flystillwaterok.com. Don't miss a beat in America's friendliest college town. Check out our full listing of events at visitstillwater.org.
To our neighbors and friends, we come to you today to let you know what's on our hearts. Because you're the reason what we do is so much more meaningful than a job. The reason we believe in the power of investing in tomorrow and the power of community. So this is simply thank you. As we step boldly into a time of growth and change, consider this our promise that every investment in our hospital is an investment in our communities.
If you haven't been to TS Fork at White Barn Estates lately, we have an exciting new concept to tell you about. It's called Thirsty Thursdays, and it includes 4 courses of the same high-quality food as our other nights and some of the best mixed drinks you've ever had. Best of all, no reservations are required. And while you're there, enjoy a drink on the covered patio and check out the gift shop with Made in Oklahoma products. Visit tsfork.com for more details and to check out our upcoming special menus.
Well, that's it. 3 weeks in the book with Jim Johnson. Jim truly is a great friend of mine. He is a terrific man. As I said at one point throughout the course of the show, that he is probably more well-versed on the Bible than anyone that I know, and I have learned. I don't like to tell him a whole lot, say this to him, but I have learned a tremendous amount from Jim Johnson. In my time at Sunnybrook, it really has been a blessing to me. Man that I dearly love and really appreciate his friendship. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Coming up in future shows, Mike Holder We're going to get him on here and talk to him about some of these great things as well. We'll see you guys next time right here on TV 31 on 1.